Hello everyone, I hope you guys can hear me. I'm going to close this door so I don't wake up the baby. All right. Okay, how's everyone doing tonight? Am I talking to myself right now? Probably. All right, so hopefully you guys are hearing me. It sounds like I can hear something over here, so I think you guys are hearing me. So I don't have my committee volunteers to help me out, so I'm kind of winging it here. Anyway, thank you all for joining. We had a meeting about a week ago at NELA to discuss the proposed merger, and so I wanted to review those slides again, the presentation again, and then to answer any questions that you guys have as we go through this. So if you're on the YouTube broadcast, just go ahead and ask your questions in the YouTube comment section. Okay, so I'll do my best to cover the background. Diana covered it pretty well last time, but so some of the relevant information is SHPE, as we know, was founded in 1974. In 1976, the first separate organization was founded. The SHPE Foundation organization was founded a few years after SHPE Inc. was founded, and originally it was called the Foundation. That organization, if I recall, was dissolved, or eventually we brought in a new foundation that we called the A-Teams, and since, well, throughout history, the foundation organization, or A-Teams, was focused more on developing funds for scholarships and executions of programs. SHPE Inc. side has always been focused on community impact through membership program execution and through member benefits, and including all our events like SHPE National Conference, NELA, Executive Leadership Institute, etc. So in 2011, we took a big step. At the time, it probably seemed like a small step, but we formed one mission, one vision, and one strategic plan between both organizations. So this was a big deal because the organization up to that point had continued to run the risk of splitting ways. And in the past, SHPE Inc. and SHPE Foundation have split ways several times, come back together and split. So there's been a lot of instability in the relationship between the two organizations. So in 2011, we set one mission, vision, and strategic plan. In order to connect those two organizations together, we established the management committee. For better or for worse, we established the management committee. So the management committee, the intent of it looks like you guys aren't seeing my screen here, so let me try to fix that. All right, so the management committee was intended to bring together both organizations under one umbrella, and allow both organizations to run with the same plan and kind of keep us from straying. The real thing the management committee did was it allowed the CEO to report to report to one kind of representative government. The management committee was made up of representatives from SHPE Inc. and SHPE Foundation, and their intent was to hold the CEO accountable for execution of the strategic plan. Now the management committee, has done okay in the past, and the thing is that legally the CEO reports to the SHPE Inc. board and the SHPE Foundation board separately, and the committee is kind of a representative committee. So there's been some opportunity for improvement in that scenario, and I do not want to bring on another CEO until we've improved that scenario between SHPE Inc. and SHPE Foundation, and improved the management committee. So looking back at what our strengths are as an organization, we are the largest Latino technical organization. We're known for our brand. We're known for providing top Hispanic talent to corporate America. We're known for the passion of our members and our leaders, and for having a strong and driven student base. More recently, due to the junior chapter initiatives and the Noche de Ciencias initiatives, we're really becoming known for our ability to make an impact on pre-college. Additionally, the new mission statement we know has been adopted and is very impactful, and a lot of people really like the new mission statement. It does speak to having an impact in the community, which is really what all of the most passionate and active members, what they believe in, is having an impact in our community. We have had challenges. We continue to struggle in the following areas. When you compare our membership growth with the explosive growth of the Latino population within the U.S., our membership growth has not stayed commensurate to that. There's a lot of reasons for that, and one of the reasons is our value proposition is not really resonating with all our targets. Even within the undergrad populations, as Latino undergrads continue to enroll at higher numbers, we're not seeing that reflected in our SHPE membership. In the professional levels, we've graduated at least 1,000 and some years 2,000 and 3,000 students from universities, but you don't see that growth in professional membership numbers. Our income and our funding are not optimized. We have many donors who want to give to programs that directly affect our members on the 501c6 side, but they cannot do so unless they give through the 501c3. This creates a situation where we have to align program execution from a partner organization with funding from the other partner organization. In order to maintain that, we require some financial controls, and those have not been very stable. Additional financial controls continue to need to be developed because of the complicated transactions between both organizations. We continue to suffer from inconsistent execution of key programs and events, and I would theorize that our inconsistent execution continues to plague our ability to grow membership in the professional ranks. And of course, we have little presence or influence in DC and in public policy, and that can be seen by when they have events in DC and they want to hear what does the Latino community think about STEM. We're not there, and oftentimes we're not invited. Sadly, they go to smaller organizations and ask their opinion, and sometimes younger organizations. So that continues to be a challenge for us. So recently we've made some major changes, and you may remember in 2007 when we moved the SHPE conference to the fall. This was a challenging decision, and it affected a lot of people and a lot of members, but the decision was made for the benefit of the organization as a whole. And the result of that move, it created more funding and more scholarship opportunities for our members, and it did result in financial growth and membership growth. We did experience that, and then it did plateau again. In 2009, we changed to more of a staff-led organization to take out some of the instability that resulted from having so many well-meaning and passionate members who, could not stay on and repeat the same execution year after year. We did establish the CEO, and we did see some of those programs transfer to the staff. Now, of course, that's not all complete, and we're still working on that transfer. And in 2011, as we discussed, the alignment of SHPE Inc. to SHPE Foundation through the establishment of the new strategic plan and shared mission and vision. So what we're proposing today is a merger between SHPE Inc. and the SHPE Foundation. I strongly believe that this will result in our ability to establish better financial processes and controls. Through alignment of SHPE Inc. and SHPE Foundation, it creates the single board of directors, which enables a much better and stronger management structure for a single staff. We would be able to appoint a more influential board of directors in this new structure, and the 501c3 status is more desirable to many of our sponsors. It would also allow us to create more brand alignment and have one voice as one organization to our stakeholders. So, why do we decide? Well, there's two questions here. Why do we decide to go to a 501c3, and why is a 501c3 preferred? So, the first question I don't have on the slide, but I'll answer that first. We took a look at the climate, the political climate around nonprofits today, and the 501c6, a membership organization, definitely has its benefits. However, the 501c3, is under much less scrutiny due to the politics that are happening with the different political parties. So that's one small reason. The bigger reason is, I would like this merger, and the board members would like this merger to happen prior to establishing a new CEO. I don't think it's fair to bring in a CEO with an organization that is really two organizations plus a management committee, where the CEO would have to decide whose direction is priority. So having this alignment really allows us to have one voice as a leadership board. So why did we decide to merge under the existing 501c3? It's really just that timing. If we were to dissolve and reestablish a new 501c3, we would be filing for a brand new organization. And granted, this would give us more flexibility in how we create that new board and that new organization structure. The decision was made that the timing right now is more important to establish a new organization while we have the opportunity to take advantage of the climate in our country, to take advantage of all the opportunities that are presented to us through partnerships and collaborations. We really need to move now. So, establishing or dissolving and forming under the existing 501c3, I think is the right way to go, and the boards agree to that as well. This does create that tax deductibility. There is a potential that, a very good potential that we could streamline the process for donations to go into the foundation and directly to the chapter. Today, we could have that. However, this is a two-pass structure where money would have to come in. Today, it would have to come into the foundation, pass over to the 501c6, and then after that, it would have to get distributed to the chapters. And now you have two sets of books that you're trying to keep and two modes of accountability. And so establishing just one 501c3 where the chapters can get donations straight through, I think will be much easier in this new organization. Additionally, company donations would be able to go through directly to impact the programs that they want to impact instead of having to jump to passes. Finally, there is an opportunity where members could make donations that are tax deductible. One of the things that SWE does is you make a $1,400, I don't know the number, but $1,400, say, for argument's sake, donation, and in return you get a lifetime membership. So it's not a bad deal. Plus, you get to get that $400 back on your taxes. So it's more favorable with the IRS also to be a 501c3, and we're under a lot less scrutiny than the other 501cs. Okay, so the proposed structure is a 15-member board, and this board would consist of selected professionals and selected students. National undergrad, vice national undergrad, and national graduate rep would still exist as they exist today. The additional 9 members would be made up of appointed reps. We would want to find influential people to join our board, and people that can bring influence, can bring power, and of course bring money to invest in our programs. People that can connect us with potential partnerships and collaborations that can help us continue to grow our programs. So there's a good point here that I think a lot of people have pointed out, so I want to address it directly. I use the word selected here on purpose because we're forming under the existing 501c3, and the existing 501c3 is an organization that is fully appointed. Okay, so I'm hearing that you cannot hear me. Let me see what I can do. Can you hear me now? Okay, I guess you can hear me. All right, so so the existing 501c3 is the SHPE Foundation is an appointed board. So for us to go and merge under this appointed board, we cannot significantly change the governance structure. So the existing board is an appointed, self-perpetuating board, and that governance structure we have to adhere to. But we did want to honor the ability for our members to choose who their leaders were. So what you read in the bylaws is that the existing election process still exists for these people in blue, the selected professionals and the selected undergrads. But there's a caveat. There's one extra step that's required. The members would select who they want to represent them, these 6 seats, and then the board has to then appoint those members. So the way it works today, of course, is the membership uses the election process, selects their representatives, and then the board is compelled, they must, by their bylaws, accept these representatives. So the only difference is there's a chance now that the existing entire board could make the decision to not accept one of those positions. In order to do that, they need a 4/5 majority vote. If you look at the last article of the bylaws, 12 of the representatives have to agree. If I recall, 12 of those representatives have to agree to make that change. I think I'm remembering this right. Forgive me if I got it wrong. But the board has to vote together to not accept an individual. So today, my argument is today that this could happen today, except it takes one more step. You'd have to wait till the new board convenes and they take a look at everyone sitting around them, and they could vote today and say, well, we don't like this person, we don't think they have the qualifications, and the board could vote today to remove that person. So the difference is, in this new structure, the board could do it before that person takes a seat and give them the chance to appoint someone that they believe is better qualified. Now, I've heard the argument that this takes all the power away from the members, and I think it's a matter of trust. If you trust the people that you have been working with for all these years, if you trust the people that you've elected to date to make the right decisions, and you believe they have been making the right decisions, do you trust them to continue to make the right decisions and to continue to appoint people that will make those right decisions in your name? And as we go through the list of inaugural board members, I think you'll see that it isn't just the people. It isn't just the people in the selected ranks that are current members. Almost all of the appointed reps are lifetime members, and some of them have served in leadership positions on our board. So the next thing I wanted to go over was the regional structure, and what you'll notice on this last slide is that the RVPs no longer have a voting position on the board. This was a very difficult decision. In fact, this decision required the agreement of the existing RVPs to make this change. But what we did was we had to make the decision whether or not the RVPs were going to be tactical or strategic, and we've struggled with this decision for many years. The conclusion that both boards came to was that the RVPs, although we wanted them to be strategic and sitting on the board, that they make more sense to be tactical and to devote themselves completely to the tactical execution of the strategic plan in each region. And I'm sure what you've heard in the past is that RVPs are either great tactical executors or they're great strategic board members, but there's only been a few that have been able to do both. And I won't name names, but you know who you are out there. So with this new structure, we've fully embraced the tactical RVP position. So you have an RVP here that is now in charge of their regional committee. And in the new bylaws, you see a call out of the regional committee that's a necessary part of the organization. Additionally, that regional committee has an election process like it has today, where the RVP, the RSR, and the RGR, like today, are elected by the general members of that region. So the RVP is elected by student chapters, the professionals, and the graduate students, and the rest of the members of the committee are elected accordingly. The only change here is now we formalized the position of the RJR. Before it was in a policy, and now we've placed the RJR on the committee as an official member of the committee in the bylaws. And now this committee member must be chosen by the agreement of the entire regional committee. Now I hope Region 4 won't mind, but this was their idea. They have a very strong regional committee, and their representative thought this was a good idea. So I think it is too, and it was a compromise we agreed on as a board, and I'm happy with it. So the RJR will continue to work with the junior chapter advisors to collaborate junior chapter activities between the different chapters, and also make sure there's alignment between our strategic plan and the execution of the programs at those junior chapters. The RSRs would continue to work with undergrads, the RGRs would work with the graduate rep, and then each region would have the full autonomy to select other regional positions that they feel is necessary. So, we tried this RPR position because, we believe that the RVP needed someone to be their tactical executor, but with this new structure, the RVP is the tactical executor. So the board voted to eliminate that existing position. From what I understand, most of those RPRs still are serving in some capacity on their regional committee, and many of them are serving as RLDC program managers. So one other thing I wanted to mention about this, this compromise to establish a regional structure was that we agreed to isolate the funds for the RLDCs. So this has been a point of contention that I've frankly been embarrassed about as I became president and learned the full scope of our ability to execute and fully reimburse the RLDCs that have happened in the past. And this year, as we've gotten control again of our finances and started to put financial controls in place, we've been able to establish a plan, a cash flow plan and payback strategy for a lot of our debts, including the RLDCs. But I don't want to ever be in the situation again where a lack of cash flow for the entire organization is bared on the backs of the regions. Because of this, the board agreed to isolate the regional funds, and those funds, as you probably know, come almost solely directly from our sponsors. But those regional funds would now be isolated into account that could only be controlled by those regions. So this creates a lot more autonomy and also a lot more responsibility for the regional committees to execute their programs with excellence. So what we're proposing, this merger, I don't believe it will affect existing members or chapter benefits directly. And if you read through the bylaws, the chapters and how they work within the organization really doesn't change. We have the opportunity now to revise and improve our policies and procedures. They are in need of improvement. And that's where we can decide if there are new policies or existing policies that need to be changed or created in order to ensure that our chapters can run more efficiently. So the big change is that the board is now a combination of the Foundation Board and the SHPE Inc. Board. We would now have 9 appointed and 6 selected representatives. The way they choose the executive board on this new organization is that the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer would be appointed by the entire board of directors. The chair or the vice chair must be, one of those people must at all times be from the selected membership. So what that means is that we will always have the member voice on the executive board. The NUR and the vice NUR are selected by student chapters, as they are today, and the national graduate representative and the 3 professionals are selected by the general membership. All right, so 9. So we have 9 appointed positions, and our intent is to have influential leaders from academia, corporate America, or government placed in these positions. And you know, the inaugural board will have some of that, but as we continue to grow the organization and stabilize our processes, we're hoping that we can continue to bring more influential people to the board so that we can build those connections in government. We can continue to build our sponsorship base and to change how corporate America does recruitment, retention, and advancement. And we can continue to get input from academia, but also have an effect on their ability to recruit and retain and graduate students through the science and engineering pipelines. All 7 regional vice presidents, as we had mentioned, will now lead the regional committees, and we talked about how these positions are selected. So here's a change, right? Your voting ballots will look different. You know, so if you look at the middle column, this is who you must select as a student, as a graduate student, as a professional or lifetime professional member, and then in the future. So you still have to select quite a few people. There's 1 less person that you have to select. So for those of you that like to make a lot of decisions on your ballots, you'll still be able to. But you know, this is I believe that we've maintained a lot of the look and feel of the organization, and that in the end, there really should not be a major change in how we function to the members and chapters. If anything, we should see some improvement. So, benefits of forming this new organization. We believe this structure, this board structure, will give us the ability to attract more influential, seasoned leaders to drive strategy and influence corporate America, academia, and public policy in the name of SHPE. So what I mean by that is, you know, if I want to bring in somebody who is very active in government, in say the National Academy of Engineers, if I want to get their voice on the board, or if I want to ask the CEO of Exelon to join our board, today I would need for them to get a member petition signed. I would need them to pay their membership by a certain date, write up a bio, and then run an election. And they would have to debate against someone like me, someone who's not an executive, who has a little bit, just a tiny bit more time on my hands. And you know, I just don't think that someone at that level, someone who has the influence that we need to bring to this board, would be willing to do that. So the ability to sustain the influential levels of the board through the appointment process is another key benefit of this new organization. Because the board is self-perpetuating, you know, we don't have to use the election process and at times fall victim to the last man standing syndrome, where because the regional committee or the leaders within the region could not find a qualified candidate, they end up with, well, somebody who's there and maybe doesn't know a lot about the organization, and when they find out what their responsibilities are, may have not made the best choice to become a board member. What we need to do is to select people based on their experience, their influence, and convince them to join our organization, not through the election process, but I firmly believe the appointment process is the right way to do it. This new organization will allow for better brand alignment and stronger voice. We will be able to establish more stable and streamlined programs and processes, and a solid management infrastructure poised for growth. And this will allow us potential growth in scholarships, programs, and sponsors. So having a 501c3 set up, you know, is a much clearer benefit to our sponsoring organizations, and having a more solid management infrastructure will make it much more attractive to bring, for us to be able to bring a high-level, experienced and highly capable CEO to the organization. Okay, so to see who the inaugural board is, you may recognize some of these people. So from the appointed ranks, I was asked to join the appointed ranks, and we have Miguel Alemani, who's R&D director at Procter & Gamble. This is senior executive with a lot of influence, and his organization has contributed significantly to SHPE. And also, you may recognize Rod Garcia, our founder, who will be one of the appointed members. He is an entrepreneur and president of his company. Dalio Sanchez, a senior executive with IBM, who served on the foundation for many years and also served on the management committee. Also a lifetime member with a long time dedication to SHPE. Ernie Felix, who is the current IPC chair, has been, you know, a longtime supporter of SHPE and a champion of diversity within his company, and that is what his role is. You know, Diana Gomez is one of our longer serving presidents of the organization, previous SHPE Foundation chair and current SHPE Foundation board member. Albert Afaro, former aerospace executive, longtime SHPE member. He helped get the SHPE South Bay Professionals chapter started. You may recognize Dr. Makari, professor and director at California Smart Grid Association. He's been working in academia for a long time prior to that, and current SHPE Foundation board member as well. Rosendo Cruz, ExxonMobil program officer, former and current IPC sponsor rep from ExxonMobil, longtime SHPE member and supporter. And then some of the people that you've recently elected, Juliana Portas, who came on with me as our current vice president, Claudia Goggin, you just elected as your treasurer, Nicolin Hernandez, you just elected as your secretary, and then of course our students, Pedro, Elio, and Douglas will be on the inaugural board. So we do need your support. We need you to look at the new org bylaws, the structure. I have to remind you that what is being proposed to you was approved by both boards unanimously. Those people, including me, that you've chosen to represent you. And, you know, we've made the best decision that we think we can make, and we are standing united behind this decision, as is the role of the board. So we need you to check out the website shpe.org/future, and we'd like for you to take a look at what we're proposing and give us your vote. So I'm going to try to answer these questions as they come in. So I'm going to ask you guys online to text me your questions if you have my cell phone number, or post them on YouTube, and I'll try to answer them as they come in. So, so one of the questions that continues to get asked is, what happens if the board does not want to appoint one of the selected board members? Well, I've covered this a few times, and I'm happy to continue to cover it. So, as we said, these members in blue come from the membership ranks, and they are chosen to represent the membership by the membership. So, in the future, what would happen is, we select these 3 professionals, these 3 students, and the entire board observes who has been selected, and they make the decision to appoint them. Now, I don't have any reason to believe that the people that we've selected to be on this board would make a decision that you wouldn't agree with. You elected some of these people in the past, in the present, and today many of them serve on the foundation board. So, but if somebody ran for election that wasn't qualified, that maybe came with political baggage, maybe between the election process and the appointment, they were arrested for a felony, would you want that person to serve on the board? Probably not. I'm not saying that situation would ever happen. I don't think we have those type of people in our membership in the first place, but there is that option. The difference between tomorrow with that and today is only slight. Today, if the election goes forward, if we go forward to the next election, right, we don't make any changes. New president, new vice president run, and we have new regional reps that run. We get a full slate, the election is over, and we go to the first meeting, and the entire board agrees that one of the individuals is not qualified to run the organization. They could vote as a board today to remove that person. Today, if the entire board agreed that I wasn't capable of leading anymore, the entire board could remove me. So, you know, I don't see a major difference between preventing that person from serving a couple months versus taking an active vote as a group after they served a couple months to remove that person. I don't have as much concern about it because I trust the people that we've selected for the inaugural board, and I believe that they will make the right decisions, including choosing future appointed board members who think alike, who are also dedicated to the organization, and who want to make the right decisions for our community. So I have another question on what experts did we use to recommend this change? So we used a consultant. So we used a consultant from an organization called the McCormick Group, and they have a long history of doing mergers with major nonprofits. And we asked for, you know, what have the trends been in nonprofits, and let me see if I can pull up that presentation here. It won't be on your screen, but I'll pull it up on my own. Let's see. If there's other questions, please text your RVP so they can text me while I'm looking this up. All right. Okay, so you know, the person we used, the president of the McCormick Group, Dan McCormick, you know, he went through and talked about, you know, what are the trends with nonprofit organizations, and where are the organizations going and why. And one of the major trends that we've experienced that he highlighted is the reduced funding opportunities out there. You know, more and more companies are pulling out of the diversity space, and you know, 90% of our revenue comes from corporate America. So, like it or not, you know, we develop engineers and scientists that will get hired by them. We encourage people to go to graduate school to get their advanced degrees, but over 75% of people with advanced degrees end up working in corporate America as well. And on top of that, you know, many organizations are moving to reduce redundancy, to increase capacity, and to provide increased strategic focus so that they can experience survival of their mission. What you see with our organization is every 5 to 10 years, we have to reset our focus because either the foundation or SHPE Inc. has gone a different direction. We lose the capacity to continue to fund our programs due to the changing dynamics of the funding structures and our inability to react in a timely manner to those changes. So this new board that we're proposing will increase our speed, our agility to make those changes. Additionally, you know, the consultant had discussed about how many of the organizations, other nonprofits, have done restructuring in order to reduce their spending and increase efficiency. So one of the criticisms I've heard is that, you know, well, we don't see immediate efficiencies gained from this change, and I'm sorry that you can't see it initially, but the fact of the matter is we just had a major reduction in force in order to minimize our overhead and continue to execute in program. So right now we are running understaffed on both SHPE Inc. and SHPE Foundation. There is an intent in the next couple years to bring, you know, as we bring this merger together, to get under one roof. I don't know what location that roof needs to be in, and I'm not going to make any proposals here, but to get under one roof with one financial structure and one organization structure for the staff. That wouldn't be possible as two separate organizations. So there will be savings. It won't be immediate, but it will come. Other conditions that are happening in that encourage us to choose this model is that 501c6s are continuing to get under fire due to the political climate in Republicans and Democrats, and as they create political action committees, and because those structures are often similar to 501c6, there's increased scrutiny and increased auditing of those organizations. So the other things we talked about are competitive and economic conditions. You went in deeper, and really the major thing is, how do you achieve what you're trying to achieve at the lowest possible cost and the quickest way with the least amount of redundancy, and do so with the existing resources and following the climate of trends in those resources. And if we continue to operate as two separate organizations, I just don't think that that's possible. I don't think we're going to be able to maximize on those opportunities. So contrary to popular belief, this wasn't one individual's decision. This wasn't me telling both boards, this is what you need to do. We did get a consultant who's been working in this space for 25 years to do the research, to provide us multiple options. We rejected several of the options and landed on this as the best possible option to choose. Let's see. So clarification: if we don't act now, what is the impact to SHPE? Well, so here's what will happen if we choose to not vote for this merger. You'll have more of me as your SHPE Inc. interim CEO. Miguel Alemany will continue to try to serve in the capacity of the SHPE Foundation interim CEO. And I appreciate your faith in us as leaders, but it may have been sustainable years ago, but it's not sustainable today. Our staff deserves to have a fully dedicated person managing their operations. They deserve to have somebody that can lead their fundraising pursuits, that can make decisions on tactics and management of the staff on a full-time basis. And it's not fair to our staff to do that. It's also not fair to our members, because I cannot keep up with the number of opportunities that are presented to me and Miguel. I'm concerned the longer we wait, the more opportunities will pass us by. And we have to be honest, we have competitors today. And when SHPE doesn't respond to opportunities, when we don't respond to the opportunity for grants and partnerships, those organizations go to our competitors. So what would happen if you voted against this? We would continue to operate like we are today. I would have another year as president. We do have a search out for a CEO, but I have to tell you, the people that I've talked to who are interested in the role, some of the best people are scared to death of being the CEO of two separate organizations and being overseen by a management committee who really legally has no ability to hold them accountable. I don't have faith in that structure, and I think we're doing the best we can with what we have, but we're just not going to realize our potential if we stay the way we are. Okay, let's see if there's any more questions online here. I have a comment. I like that we're embracing technology. Thank you. I'm going to go to Facebook and see if anyone has commented online there. It's weird to be broadcasting and not hear any of your voices. Okay, I don't have any messages on Facebook. I'm going to check my email real quick just in case. Okay, I don't have any emails. Okay, I'm just going to go through this timeline a little bit. In the last meeting, we had a comment from an anonymous user from the New Jersey professional chapter, and I thought it was a real valid comment. It was, look, the existing timeline doesn't give our student chapters adequate time to make a decision on voting for the change, and that was a great comment. So we changed some of this, and we've pushed back the timeline to as late as possible, with the caveat, with my desire and most of the board's desire, that we would like to have a CEO in place with a new structure, and we'd like to have the new structure in place and the CEO in place before our 40th anniversary conference in Detroit. So we pushed the timeline back. You can see here, paid member by the 19th, ballots go out on the 22nd, ballots close on the 20th, and the results would get submitted to the Attorney General on the 22nd. We'd give them a week based on our current pre-approval. They should only need a week, and then on November 1st, right before the conference, we'd be able to announce the new board and the new structure. Okay, I'm going to go back here on YouTube and see if there's any questions here. No questions. No one's texting me. All right. All right, so here's some questions. Will the selected and appointed representatives have a vote? If not, what are some ways that are being implemented to make sure that their voices are heard? So just to go back here to the structure, so this board, the blue and green, in the end, they're all one color. They all have the same vote. They will all have a vote, so that's not an issue. So the way they're heard is through voting. Question from Tom Cruise. What are the plans in looking for a new CEO for SHPE? So we started the CEO search about 2 weeks ago, and right now we have a professional organization that's reaching out to potential CEOs and going through the screening process. We will start interviewing soon. Our goal is to spend the right amount of time to get the right CEO. I'd love to have the right CEO in place before the national conference, but realistically, if we can't find them, we'll take as much time as it requires. Will there be a single office for the new merged organization, or will they continue to be separate for a while? What are the plans for the physical merger, and where will the headquarters be located? So that's from Tom Cruise. So good question, and so as I had mentioned, we would like to have be under one roof in the future. Right now, we can't. So I'm not sure how to do this, cameraman. Together proposal where we unite over 20 members from 2 boards, to come with a line-by-line agreement on bylaws and structure and how the organization would be run. We made the decision that it was better to limit the number of voices, to take those that you as members have voted on to represent you, including me, including your regional vice presidents, and to take their inputs and make the best possible decision we could make with the information we have, and to propose this to the membership for a vote. So it's really just the difference between getting everyone's voice and everyone's input, or getting the right amount of voice and input. So those members that were involved in the decision, you elected, and we agreed to limit the discussion to the people we had on hand. So why didn't we seek opinions from a wider audience? Well, it's kind of the same question. You know, it's hard to choose all the hundreds of people that have dedicated their life to making our organization possible, to making our organization relevant over the years. There's always going to be at least 10, 20 people that we could have additionally brought into the conversation, and it's hard to make those decisions. So again, I stand by the decision to use the elected and appointed representatives of both organizations today, and to try to come to consensus on the line-by-line decisions we had to make with those bylaws. The fact of the matter is, these organizations, both organizations, came to a unanimous vote on our proposal. Unanimous. That's pretty rare, and that we were able to come to a unanimous decision, I think we should be proud of. All right, so next question is from Diana Ortega. Is there any risk to timing, resources allocated, etc.? Yeah, there was significant risk in the beginning. There was significant risk for us to go after this, even with the financial struggles we're experiencing this year. So because of that, we very carefully sought support. And I didn't ask permission to say who supported us, but we did get an organization to support the meeting of this group of people. The travel, we got sponsored by another organization. Meeting space was sponsored by another organization, and they made it possible because the financial risk is the biggest risk. Additional risks, the longer we go as two organizations, the more opportunities for funding, the more opportunities for growth, I believe we're passing by. I think we're missing opportunities, and the way Dora put it is other organizations are eating our lunch, and I agree with Dora completely. Because we've been fighting with ourselves, fighting with our processes, we continue to miss these opportunities, and I think that's a significant risk if we don't act soon. All right, so Tom sent me some additional questions. Let me just make sure I answered those. Tom, I think I answered those about where they be located, and when's the CEO search start. So thank you for that. So I'm going to go back online here on YouTube and see if there's any other questions. All right. I think there's about a 2-minute lag between me talking and you guys hearing. So if you ask questions before I hang up, I might not see them. All right. So here's a question: How will this affect the way student chapters fundraise? We are always asked for our tax ID number. So that's a great question. So today, student chapters can fundraise using, and they should be doing this, using their student association, and they should be incorporated, or I'm sorry, wrong word. They should be under their student association and be able to use the tax ID of their university. If your student chapter is not identified by your student association or your student government, then you run a significant risk of not being able to get funds. So for student chapters, that's really how we recommend running. There are some student chapters that were some student chapters, and there still are, that have established, they have incorporated, and they've become independent 501c3s. This is really difficult to maintain, and I wouldn't recommend it. For chapters overall, for professional chapters specifically, a lot of times it's difficult for them to get their hands on donations from companies because they are not tax exempt. So there's an opportunity. It's not guaranteed. We would have to establish the policies to support this, but we have the opportunity now, if we become a 501c3, to establish policies and procedures and processes where a company could donate to SHPE Foundation and choose what chapter, what sub-chapter of the 501c3 that they would like those monies to go to for what program. And you can see how there's an opportunity to automate this and to make it much more effective, so that our chapters can get the money they need to execute their programs. Another question from Ruben Pena. There are disproportionate membership numbers relative to the sheer number of the Latino community in the USA, relative to the number of Latino enrollment in universities, as well as relative to the number of Latino graduates from STEM. Considering that there are, this is a longer question, considering there are winds of major change taking place as we speak regarding the merger of these two SHPE organizations, then why not take it one step further and do something significant for enrollment of junior SHPE? Okay, change the name, so it's a name change proposal. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, sorry, Ruben, but I did want to mention that we decided that, probably a harder thing to change than the management organization structure would be the name at this point. So, we agreed to not change the name of the organization at this time. I think you have a good proposal here, but I think I've heard a couple really good other proposals too, and I would hate for us to vote no on a merger because not everyone agrees with the name of the new organization. So, we really can't entertain that at this time. Eric Mesa, I'm excited for the change. I had a question from Manny here. What was the verbiage of these motions? So the motions were made in closed sessions, but I don't think it's hard to imagine that the motion was to approve the new organization as presented in the Articles of Incorporation and bylaws. Something to that effect. So the motion that was asked for from both organizations separately was to approve the new proposed organization. So that has been done. Okay, let's see, other questions. Looks like I got a question on Facebook. Barry, could you go over how the voting for this proposal would work? It is one vote per chapter. So the voting would work the way it works today, and I'll pull up that presentation. So the voting would be sorry. So the voting for the new proposal would be one vote for every student chapter, one vote for every graduate student member, and one vote for every regular lifetime professional member. You'd have to be an established chapter prior to the date for your student vote to get a vote, and then you'd have to be a paid professional member prior to the date that I presented, or a paid graduate student member. You know what? I keep forgetting this one additional change that I don't want you to think I'm hiding it from you, but we did change the membership a little bit in that you no longer have to be an engineering, a person with an engineering degree to vote to be a regular member. You just have to have a degree in a STEM field now. So, you know, this is a small thing to change, but what it does is for all those people out there who have biology degrees, that have, you know, computer science degrees, that have technical degrees, that, you know, on their honor chose to be an associate member. In the past, those members were not able to vote on their regional leaders. They weren't able to vote on their national representatives. So with this change, you would be able to apply for and get a regular membership. Okay, let's see. I think by now, so, all right, so my board members are still discussing if there's any questions, so I'll stay on for a few more minutes here. It's 9:06 Central. Wish I could figure out how to turn my camera back on so you could see me, but I'm not good at this. I hit a Q&A button. I don't know if that works. Okay. No. Okay. All right. Is there any other questions here? All right. So here's a question. Please define STEM field. It's a good question. I love giving you things to pick apart here. So let's see, how do we define it in the bylaws? A person that holds a bachelor degree in any discipline of science, engineering, mathematics, or any technologically focused field. That's how we define STEM in the bylaws. So Manny, I'm going to answer your question again. I know that you're experienced as a former president and trying to get decisions from large groups. And you know, the thing is that in order for us to get consensus from 20+ members, you know, we needed to work very hard to do that. We needed to be face-to-face. Now, you're going to tell me that you wanted to be a part of it, 10 of your friends wanted to be a part of it, and 10 of their friends wanted to be a part of it. And, you know, to use everyone's favorite slippery slope argument, you know, what's the right number? How many people do we want to be a part of this decision? I don't know. I don't know how many people is the right number, and the decision we made as an organization, and I'll answer this question one last time because you've asked it about 7, is that, you know, we those people you represented. I'm one of those people that you represented. So the entire board made the decision to use who we have based on the resources we have and to make the decision as a group without including every voice and every opinion of every member. We just didn't think it was manageable. I'm going to stand by that decision, and I really hope that all of you can see why we did it that way. Okay, what other questions do we have? I'm going to keep going here. So from Jose, do you know that STEM from National Academy includes nursing? I'm sorry that you don't like nurses. They do have science degrees, and you know, I defined how we have it in our bylaws, and I'm not concerned about the type of people that will be able to become voting members for our organization. So I appreciate your concern, and I don't share it. All right, so the next question is, the vote is too fast. There's not enough time for people to go over it. So you have until September, let's see, until September 22nd till ballots go out, and you don't have to vote until October 22nd. So this is, it's over 2 months. So I'm going to disagree with you. I think it's enough time. The bylaws are about 35 pages. And in addition, I've asked all the regional leaders to reach out to their chapter leaders to understand and to provide proposals for what policies they believe they need to change or add. All right, so there have been mainly been thoughts and opinions presented in the town hall. No presentation on the negative effects of the change. Okay, there have been no prior information sent to me on the paperwork. Okay, so to answer those questions, the only thing that we have to present at this time is the bylaws and articles of incorporation. The policies and procedures would need to be developed through participation of the existing members. Not having regional VPs on the national board is contrary to how we promised the early professional chapters that their say-so was important, which is why they started joining us. This included the very first professional chapters, and I brought under the shipboard from San Jose. Okay, it is expected that new invited CEOs be on the board to contribute heavily, but this can already be done by the prior executive council that will give full support to the memberships. So yeah, I agree, you can have voices, but can you ask people to serve as board members, to put their reputation on the line, and to put themselves into the organization as not just an advisor, but as an active participant? You know, do you want the board of the YMCA? Do you want the board of United Way? Or do you want the board of SHPE today, where we do have corporate advisors, we do have executives that advise us, but they would not stand up in our board meetings and make a vote, because that's not their responsibility. So I believe that there's the right decision. There's other reasons that I wouldn't agree with the vote. So, okay, so I appreciate your view, Jose. You know, I think in the end, the information we have to present, we've presented. And, you know, I'd be happy to come back with the risks. We could provide a list of risks and potential things that you know, we have to worry about. But I think it'd only be fair to show you all the risks that we experience with today's dysfunctional, ineffective management structure. If all of you as members are 100% satisfied in how we're running today, I would say that you're not looking around. We haven't grown as an organization in several years. The only stability we really have is in the SHPE National Conference, and we're attempting to make stability in the regional programs, but we continue to struggle with lack of standardization and execution. You know, I think if we really want to make the change we need, if we really want to become the organization that we believe we can be, we cannot accept that the way we formed 40 years ago is the right way for us to continue to run. We can't assume that the decisions we made 15 and 20 years ago are still completely relevant today. I understand that there's discomfort around change, and there should be. However, what I'm asking for all of you to do is to review what is presented, to review the bylaws, and to make a decision if you believe, if you trust those members that you voted to present to you the best possible compromise, the best possible organization that we think we could put together. as elected representatives. And if you don't, we'll start a petition to get rid of me, you know, and get rid of all the other board members and put yourself on the board. You can all turn down the vote if you want, or you can just exercise your right and vote against it. But you know, I think we did a really good job in presenting a package that will continue to make this organization effective and will bring new opportunities to the organization. All right. See, I don't see any more major questions here. All right, so I got that same question I've addressed a few times. Okay. All right, so I don't see any new questions here. So look, you know, please feel free to reach out to me, president@ship.org. You know, I really appreciate your engagement in this. You know, this has not been an easy decision. This has not been an easy proposal. It took a lot of people, a lot of effort, and it would have been hard enough to reach compromise and consensus, but you know, these organizations reached a unanimous decision on what was proposed. And I think you need to applaud your representatives for finding that level of compromise when, you know, our political climate and our U.S. government can't compromise on almost anything. So thank you for following this, and thank you for participating. Please continue to ask me questions. If I don't respond to your emails because I'm getting flooded, you know, follow up with me, please. I really do appreciate it, and I thank you for your patience. I hope you all have a good night, and I hope to see you in Detroit. Bye.